everyone, it's Moose and thank you so much for joining me back here. Today we're going to do a video that I'm actually pretty excited about and one I've been planning on doing here for a while. We're going to talk about The Love Clichés by Emma St. Clair. I read these in March, I do believe. So if you're interested in hearing my wrap up, go check it out. I really got into rom-coms in the month of March, and I discovered the series, this author that month, and I found that I really enjoyed them, so I wanted to do a whole video just dedicated to them. One of the things I like most about them is that they are clean romances. Emma St. Clair calls them closed door romances, so they might kiss or share a little peck or something like that, but in terms of things that happen in the bedroom, the door stays closed. She doesn't open it to show you what happens, which I like and I find refreshing because I personally get tired of smut and am tired of reading it. Just being honest with you. So it was really refreshing to find an author who writes good rom-coms, who I actually find funny, while also giving me that romantic element that makes me kind of swoon a little bit as well. So we're going to talk about this particular series by her. There are 7 books total, kind of. 2 of them are novellas that kind of deal with side characters within the whole series. So our main 5 books follow a group of 5 friends, and so they have like branches off of characters that the 2 novellas are about. But we'll get into that here in a minute. I do want to say, if you are interested in reading these, maybe read them in order, because I kind of spoiled it for myself. I started out with the very last one, with number 7, which is like an enemies to lovers type of thing. I was in an enemies to lovers mood. This one popped up on Scribd as an audiobook, and I was like, okay, let's read this one. Let's listen to this one. And I really liked it, but the epilogue of the last one is kind of like a conclusion for all of the characters within the series, for all 5 of them, kind of 6, if you count one of the novella characters. And it's like years down the road, like 30 years down the road. So it kind of spoiled some stuff for me. Not too bad, to the point where I didn't want to go back and read them. And to be honest, I didn't really know what it was talking about because I wasn't familiar with the characters at that point. But I do suggest reading them in order. With that being said, I'm going to try to keep this video spoiler free, so you can just maybe get the highlights and decide for yourself if you want to read these. I highly recommend it that you do, especially if you are searching for some clean romances that are actually pretty funny. To me, they were. I like them. Hence why I'm making a video about them. Let's jump into it. Okay, the first book in this series is Falling for Your Best Friend's Twin. This one follows our 2 main characters, Zane and Abby. You'll find that the titles of these are kind of self-explanatory. They are The Love Clichés. So our main character, Abby, has a best friend, Zoe, who has a twin, Zane. And Abby has kind of always had a crush on Zane, but he's kind of aloof and distant and kind of like the grump kind of character, you know what I'm saying? Well, Abby is very tech savvy, and Zane is running a startup, and he needs somebody in the tech industry to help him out with something. So he hires Abby. She comes and works for his company for a little bit. They get to know each other. There are fake dating type of tropes in here, but they're fake dating other people. And the 2 people end up going off together, that type of thing. So they're kind of forced to hang out together while their dates take the other room type thing. I wouldn't say this one was my favorite, but it was still sweet. This one actually might be one of my least favorites, but I want to say that this is one of the couple in this whole series waits until they're married to have sex, which I thought was awesome and not something you really see that often in romance books. And I think it was this one. I think it's Zane and Abby. So if you're looking for something just pure and lighthearted, I like this one, but it's still not my favorite in the series. Let's move on to the next one. Next up, we have Falling for Your Boss. This one, again, self-explanatory, but this one is an age gap romance. We have our youngest character, Zoe, which is the twin to Zane in the first book. So we have his twin sister, Zoe, working at this businessy place. I don't even remember what she does, but she has a crush on her boss, Gavin, who is a little bit older than she is, and something happens. It comes to a head where they kind of finally admit feelings to each other, and then they have to go through this whole process of how is this going to affect our workplace, and then something happens concerning his past that kind of gets brought into the present. and she kind of asks herself, where am I at in this? What's my place in this situation? And they kind of have to figure out their job, their personal life, all that kind of stuff, along with his kind of age gap situation. So again, this one probably wasn't my favorite either, but it was good. Next up, we have Falling for Your Fake Fiance with Théoden and Delilah. So Delilah knows this guy. Again, all of these characters come into play in all the other books. So you meet Théoden in the second book, I'm pretty sure, in Gavin and Zoe's book. So you meet Théoden at maybe the last chapter, and now he's here again. And he and Delilah do not get along because of what happens in the second book. And this book starts out that Delilah is a dog sitter. She works at not a pound, what am I thinking of? Like a doggy daycare type thing. And lo and behold, one of her favorite dogs belongs to Théoden, and she gets fired, and so he hires her to be a dog sitter. And in the process, some things come up, and he needs a fake fiance, and so he kind of hires her to do that as well. Of course, you know how it ends. I like this one better than the first two, probably. It was sweet. I liked the characters a little bit better. The romance was a little more in depth, but still, you know, it's still a closed door type of thing. No smut or anything like that. A+. Okay, number 4. I feel like we're flying through these. Next up, we have Falling for Your Best Friend. Kind of what it already sounds like. We have Chase and Harper, and they have been best friends since college, and they have always kind of been in love with each other, but neither of them want to admit it and put themselves out there. He's afraid of rejection. She's kind of afraid that she's not good enough for him. There's also kind of like autism rep within this book. She kind of discovers that she might be on the spectrum and she has sensory problems. That's within here. And we do have characters from the first 3 books and later books as well, kind of trying to set them up together, because all of her friends know that they love each other. Her family even knows that they love each other. He is really close with her family because his family is not very close itself, and so they've kind of adopted him into their family, which is another reason that he doesn't want to put himself out there, because if he puts himself out there and gets rejected, he not only loses Harper, but he loses her family as well, and her older brothers, who he has come to become friends with. So there's that whole dynamic going on. I did like this one. I think I like Falling for Your Fiance better. I might rate these at the end. I might rate these at the end. Next up is one of the novellas, and I'm just going to put it in here because it is chronologically where it should be. We have the 12 Holidates. This one follows Weston and Taylor, and this one is also kind of a best friends to lovers type thing. They've always been friends. He's always loved her, kind of unrequited love type thing. And Taylor is a character that you really get to know a little bit more in the last book, but she is included in this one as well, and some of the other ones just as like a side character. And so our main character in the last book, who we'll get to in a minute, sets Chase up with Taylor, if you're following. So Chase, from the book we just talked about, from Falling for Your Best Friend, gets set up with Taylor to make Harper jealous. And so you kind of get the other perspective to that in this book. So you get the same scene that was in Falling for Your Best Friend, just from Taylor's perspective in this one, and then they kind of end up together at the end as well. Again, novella, another friends to lovers. The next one we have is also a novella that connects to Falling for Your Best Friend. I didn't really realize that both of the novellas connect to that one book, but we have Falling for Your Brother's Best Friend. We have Chelsea and Mason. And again, this is another woman that Chase was set up with. So he goes out on a date with Chelsea. It goes really well, and you think it might spark something a little bit. She does, at least. But we all know as a reader that Chase loves Harper, and so they end up going. Chase is more of an outdoorsy type person. So in Falling for Your Best Friend, they go out on like a hiking trip, and Chelsea is there. The girl he went on a date with, like the previous night, is there, who he did not give a call back. But she's hopeful, and so she's kind of, hanging on to him and chatting his ear up and just trying to kind of make a move because she thought they had a good time, and blah, 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 blah. They end up sprayed by a skunk. So this one, the novella, Falling for Your Brother's Best Friend, starts after that. Chelsea walks in the door and she smells like skunk, and she is actually sharing a house, kind of. She's like roommates with her brother's best friend. Now, her brother went on a trip to Spain, I believe, and he invited his best friend to come over and kind of live in his house while he's away. And Chelsea and Mason both kind of love each other. I wouldn't say it's unrequited love. Again, similar to falling for your best friend. They both love each other. They both don't want to tell each other that they love each other. And so you go through that whole process. What I liked about this one that was different than the other ones is we get both of the perspectives. We get Chelsea's and we get Mason's, which is something that I, as a reader, always enjoy. I always enjoy multiple perspectives, especially when we get the male protagonist in a romance. It's one of my favorite things. If I could choose, I would maybe always read from the male perspective. It's just not something that you find a whole lot of, but I did like that about this one. All right, last up, we have Falling for Your Enemy. Last book. This is the one I started with, which I do not suggest. In this one, we have Sam and Reese. Rhysand. Yes, from ACOTAR, you learn his background, his backstory in this book, but we have Sam and Reese. And Sam is Dr. Love. She has kind of created this persona for herself, and you kind of get Dr. Love letters throughout the whole Cliché series. This is kind of just the cap of it, the end of it. So she is Dr. Love. She has created this whole series where people kind of write into her, "Dear Dr. Love, I'm having this love problem," and she will write back with an answer, a solution, some advice. It's an advice column. That's what it is. And so at the end of this one, at the end of the series rather, Sam's Dr. Love identity has kind of been exposed, and now everybody knows who she is. And it's a problem because Grandpa Gosling, I think is what they call Reese, within this whole job that she has created, there was one particular person who wrote in and complained about her boyfriend being too nice and too sweet and that kind of stuff. And Dr. Love, Sam, gave him the nickname of Grandpa Gosling, and it kind of ruined his life. He went on live television, like talk shows and stuff, and talked about how the advice column was not really beneficial to his love life. He and his girlfriend split up because of it. His girlfriend kind of capitalized on it a little bit, but long story short, because of her advice column, Reese hates her, and they are forced in close proximity together to kind of work together, is basically how this one goes. This one, while I read it first, still might be, it's not my least favorite, but I did find this one to be maybe a little less realistic than the other ones, specifically in the fact that Reese is writing a book, and at first it's not going very well, and his agent keeps calling him and telling him like, "Hey man, this isn't working, this isn't working." And then there's just a part in the story where they change one thing, and all of a sudden his book just like takes off. And I've never read a book, I don't know how it goes. I just felt like it was a little unrealistic at how quickly it happened. He literally writes one chapter and like releases it for free to the public, and all of a sudden everyone that they meet is like talking to him about this and is obsessed with it and stuff like that. So I found that to be unrealistic, but otherwise I liked it. And I did like the epilogue on this one. I went back and listened to it after I finished the series because it made a little bit more sense after knowing all of the characters. My neighbors have those big loud trucks that are unnecessarily loud and just kind of get on your nerves a little bit, because I know these guys ain't hauling stuff, all right? I see them come in and out of this neighborhood every day, and they are not using the bed of their truck for anything. They can have a car just like mine. Anyways, all right, back to what I was saying. I did like the epilogue of this one. I liked that it kind of gave you some closure on everything that had happened with our characters, you know, throughout the entire lives, pretty much. It was good. It was good. Overall, this whole series was great. I loved it. It was so fun to listen to. I might actually buy them for my shelf. I have found that I like her as an author. I liked all of these books, and I have a couple of her books saved to my phone as ebooks to see if I like some of her other series a little bit better too. So Maybe I'll make a video about her just in general. But for now, here are the love cliches. Let's go ahead and rank them. All right, first I'm gonna have Falling for Your Fake Fiancé. This one was probably my favorite. I did quite enjoy that one. I am gonna count the novellas in this too because they're part of the series. Next we have the 12 Holidays. Again, small novella. I liked it though. I actually really liked the novellas. I'm gonna put Falling for Your Best Friend as third. Novellas beat out most of the hard, like, in the series books, but I like them. Then I'm gonna put Falling for Your Best Friend. I did like this one. I liked Chase. Chase was a good character. So I did like that one. Next, I'm gonna put, the rest of them might be tied, actually. All right, I'm gonna make myself. I'm gonna say Falling for Your Enemy, and then Falling for Your Boss, and then Falling for Your Best Friend's Twin. Yeah, I think that's my order. All of them are good though, so don't let my order kind of deter which ones you read. You should read all of them, get your feel for the characters, get your feel for the world. Last thoughts, last impressions, overall arcing comments. I love that she's a clean writer. It's hard to find that in romance nowadays. And as someone who is getting tired of smut, I appreciate it so much, to the point where I was searching out like Amish romances and stuff like that, which I do really enjoy. I really enjoy them. If you're not new to my channel, you know that Jennifer Beckstrand is hardcore one of my faves right now. I think I might have read all of hers, which is a bummer, but that's besides the point. Yeah, so it's good to find some clean romances that are funny at the same time. Writing wise, very easy to read. She uses different styles, different like calligraphy, if it's a text, if it's an email, if it's a thought, that type of stuff. Very easy to read, especially in the last novella, Falling for Your Brother's Best Friend. She would write in all caps and she was just very intense, and I feel like she writes the way that you speak. It's not very eloquent in the sense that it's like wordy and flowy and stuff like that. It really is just kind of how you talk. If someone was to sit down and kind of transcribe what I'm saying to you right now, that's kind of what her writing is like, but it doesn't feel cheap or bad. I don't know another way to put it. I liked it. I liked the kind of just authentic writing style that she has. Plot wise, some are better than others. So is the pacing. Some of them were better than others. Overall though, I really enjoyed this series, and if you're looking for some clean romances to read and delve into, I definitely recommend these, and just her as an author in general. I plan to read more of her soon because I enjoyed these so much. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to subscribe down below and leave a comment. You guys are awesome. I am so thankful for you, and we will meet back here next time, guys. See ya. I'm bad at hearts. Is this a heart? Alright, kind of.